It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Susan Wingrove, RDH BS with WingroveDynamics.com. She's a dynamic innovator, writer, international speaker, and 2016 Sunstar RDH Award of Distinction recipient, co-designer of the Wingrove Titanium Implant Set, Ace Probes, and Queen of Hearts Instruments, PDT Inc. Susan is a member of the American Dental Hygienists Association, International Federation of Dental Hygienists, Western Society of Periodontology, Academy of Osseointegration, and Master Professor for Institute of Stomatology, Tuscany, Italy. Published author for multiple journals, scientific panel for ACP Clinical Practice Guidelines, as well as her current textbook, Peri-Implant Therapy for the Dental Hygienist, Clinical Guide to Maintenance and Disease Complications. And it's available from Wiley. And you have that book, they can get it on your website or Amazon. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And where would you rather them get it? From your website or from Amazon?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's available through Wiley.com or Amazon, but there is a button to go to the site on my website.
Okay. And Amazon's just so easy. There's so many dentists have that Amazon Prime on their phone, and they got that one-touch click. So on your website, I'm on your website now on your phone, but no, where's the book on the website? Do I have to tap the menu?
Yeah,
and then
the text.
And then hit, okay, so you got to tap the menu. Okay, so that is an amazing book. So, Susan Wingrove, author of Peri-Implant Therapy for the Dental Hygienist. Peri-Implant Therapy for the Dental Hygienist is my passion on paper. A special thank you to my friends, colleagues, and companies contributed to this evidence-based book. I hope that offices embrace it as a resource for implant maintenance, therapy, regeneration, and home care for implants to be successful for a lifetime. Click on the picture to order a copy of the textbook or ebook. So, here's the problem we have. The old man comes in with 3 liver spots. He had an implant placed 10 years ago. It's got peri-implantitis all around it. And you tell him, dude, this has got to come out. We need to put a new one. But there's no pain. He can go to Long John Silver's and eat all the pizza he wants. And he just wants to keep it. What is your advice on treating peri-implantitis?
Yeah, there's guidelines for that, Howard, that once it gets to a certain point and there's not as much bone available, it can be a little bit of an oral systemic threat to the patient if it's not in a healthy situation. So they might be able to go and eat and things, but you got to look at the whole body. And if there's some oral systemic reasons why that needs to come out and a new one put in, there's guidelines by Dr. Fromm, that has excellent guidelines on that. In the textbook, I've got a whole protocol on that. When you need to refer, when does it need to come out? And here's what we can do to save it, though. There's many different saving options now for peri-implantitis, even cement implantitis, where you can go in and you can get that treated and flapped open treated, guided bone regeneration put back in place, and it only takes about 3 months to heal. So that's the ideal situation.
It's so funny because you see all these ads for implants. They say, yeah, we only have a 1.5% failure rate. Okay, maybe out of the gate, but 10 years later, what do you think the peri-implantitis rate?
Yeah, the peri-implantitis rate is higher, especially after 5 years. We seem to notice the peri-implantitis a lot between 5 and 10 years out. So when I'm talking to hygienists or new students or the universities that I talk to, the treatment is you just really need to catch it early, and you need to really be on the top of your game between 5 years and 10 years to really look for some signs to see if they're going to have implantitis develop.
And what do you think? It's obviously the problem is that some teeth are lost for dental decay, failed root canals, and some teeth are lost from periodontal disease, and it's just a whole different ball of wax when you're placing implants for teeth that were lost from trauma or decay versus from teeth that were lost from perio?
No, it's about the same. I mean, once you've got the infection cleaned up, it would be treated the same. You need a good foundation. You need a good guided bone probably regeneration treatment or socket preservation, and then the implant placed for it to be really successful. But I think it's about the same, but the difference is that somebody that has that kind of a background or loss of teeth because of that just needs to be on a shorter recare to come in and see the hygienist. And they actually have some statistics, like 43% of people will get some form of peri-implantitis if they don't go and see their hygienist at least every 6 months. So there's only 18% of them will develop peri-implantitis if they're treated really well with a hygienist or a dentist that's monitoring them and cleaning them the right way.
So what's got you passionate these days? How long have you been in hygiene? How long have you been a hygienist?
Oh, I've been in the dental profession over 40 years, but I was a surgical assistant first, and then I went into hygiene. So hygiene, I've probably done more than 25 years.
So after 25 years, and podcasters, they're so young, people our age read textbooks, and I can't wait to read your textbook. But the young kids love they love the podcasts and the online CEs and YouTube and all that stuff. What lessons would you tell the hygienists that are all rolling out of school right now? We just graduated a whole bunch of them this week. What would you tell them as they're embarking on a career in dental hygiene?
I'd like to see them know that was where they got their start. That's where they got their basics. But now they have to continue to be lifelong learners because it's a regeneration dentistry era. So they need to continue to listen to podcasts like yours, go to CEs, do the things that are necessary to keep up to date on what's changing, because regeneration for dentistry is changing so dramatically all the time. So they need to know that they have a good basis, but now they've got to continue their education and find out what they're passionate about. And I think they will start to develop their passion once they're out and working.
And what do you mean by regeneration, and why has that got you so excited?
Well, I started in regeneration research in 1995, working with FDA trials for tissue and bone regeneration, did the dog trials, and I'm a freelance writer, so I wrote up the different clinical trials, and it really lit a spark in me to see that we can regenerate the tissue that we thought we couldn't before. We were taught in school, it's lost, it's not lost. So it's really nice that we can regenerate that tissue and bone back. And now I'm all charged up about biofilm, getting rid of biofilm all the time, and the implications of overall health. So every year I get into another passion, I think, in another area.
What are you regenerating with today? I mean, how is regeneration working today?
Well, it is, hygienists, we can't do the regeneration that's out there yet. I'm working with some trials to see if we can get a process through that hygienists will be able to do regenerative therapy for periodontal disease. But right now, it's in the hands of the specialists. But it is possible to regenerate periodontal disease, and there's guidelines for that, and I teach classes on that all the time. But us as hygienists, we have to wait till we have our process that we can actually do. We can't regenerate at this point, but we can be the first responders and get them over to the specialist at the right time to have this done.
Well, I wish you would make an online CE course on that on Dentaltown. That would be an amazing course, because the dentist has to watch it, but the hygienist and the receptionist and the assistant has to watch it, because when you look at the questions being asked and answered, it's actually the people at the front desk that are getting most of the clinical dentistry questions. So when you sit there and just educate a dentist or a periodontist, well, the patient probably won't even get to the dentist or the periodontist, because they've already asked the questions to the lady answering the phone, when they're in there getting a cleaning, or the assistant. And so the whole team's got to know. That'd be an amazing course for you to put on Dentaltown. I'd love to see that. Any chance at that?
Sure. I do courses like that and enjoy them all over the country. I love it. That's my passion, is to teach and to get the whole office excited about it, excited about what era we're in right now. The hygienists coming out of school and the young dentists coming out of school just don't know how exciting it really is that they are coming out into this profession at this time with all the new advances and all the new possibilities for them. It's amazing.
Humans tend to think linear. Like when housing prices go from 100 to 200,000, everybody thinks, oh, it's going to go from 200 to 300. They don't realize that it's in a bubble and it's going to go back down. They do it in stocks. And I watched them. I think of all the 9 specialties, I think the periodontal specialty changed the most in my 30 years since I graduated in 87. And I saw the pendulum swing towards implants. Like, well, if in doubt, oh, it's got a deep pocket, oh, it's got a trifurcation, just treat it with titanium. And now that everybody, and so many periodontal surgeries switched over to extractions and implants, but now I'm seeing the pendulum coming back. And a lot of it's driven by the patient who just, when you say, well, let's pull your tooth and place an implant, and they're kind of emotional. Like, well, I don't want to pull a tooth. Is there anything else you can do? And it's almost like periodontal therapies are like last resort for emotional people that can't have an extraction. But now the dentists are starting to see, you know what, let's try to keep this thing, because implants aren't as awesome as everyone thinks they are. Do you think there's a bias by a lot of dentists who just think an implant is more predictable than treating a molar that has periodontal disease?
Well, that just depends. That's there. I think all teeth, if you can keep them in the mouth and they're healthy and there's no oral systemic threat to the patient, with the biofilm knowledge that we have today, we have to be very careful. If they're treated with a regenerative periodontal disease treatment, which means they have bone and they've only got pockets about 3 millimeters deep, then they're going to be overall body healthy. If they're leaving, very deep pockets and deep areas in the mouth or furcations that are too deep, that's a different thing now. We know too much now on how that's going to increase their chances for oral systemic diseases down the line. So really what we need to be looking at, Howard, is that an overall healthy mouth. How is that? Evaluate it. I've got several different protocols in the textbook on how to evaluate that for periodontal disease and for peri-implant disease. And I think the hygienist can be real key on this, but the dentist should also be very, very involved in monitoring any tissue loss and any bone loss in the mouth, and doing that first and foremost to save the teeth. So there's a lot of bone and a lot of tissue regeneration we can do to save the teeth and have a healthy situation that don't need to do implants right away.
Dentists, hygienists, specialists, they've gone to a lot of years of school and read a lot of books, so they're very cynical. I think they're the first people on the internet to discredit fake news. But there are dentists out there and hygienists out there who say that this oral systemic linked, it's correlation, not cause effect. How come every time I make coffee in the morning, the sun comes up? It's a correlation. My coffee pot didn't make it come up. What would you say to a cynic who said those are all correlations? They're not really cause effect. Which oral systemic disease do you think there's credible research links to, and it's not correlation?
Well, we've got, and I know this is sometimes controversial, but it shouldn't be anymore. There's a direct link to cardiovascular disease. You've got the book Beat the Heart Attack Gene. That's a fabulous book if people want to look at something like that. There's a good diabetes patients, really, really good information on the link to diabetic patients. There's several links, Howard. It's getting to be more and more of them are linked to periodontal disease. So I think we really need to take this seriously. There's blood tests they can take. There's CRP blood tests. There's other evaluation blood tests that patients can take. Do I have any inflammation going on in my mouth? So if they're a cynic about it and they have a very high inflammation level in their body that they can clearly see on a saliva test or a blood test, that maybe be more convincing to them then.
And it's tough because we're trying to explain this to our patient. Whenever I tell some man that this gum disease, that could affect his heart, he always says, "Don't worry, my ex-wife already totaled my heart." And we're trying to tell them these oral systemic links, and then the New York Times is publishing articles that there's no evidence to even recommend flossing. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, thank you, media. Thank you. I finally was getting grandpa to floss, and now you're telling them there's not even any research for it. What are some, for young kids who don't have the verbal skills, what would you help them say to patients? They said, I read in the New York Times, the LA Times, there's no evidence for your floss. What would you say to that?
Yeah, that's a hard one, and I think it's hard for hygienists because they get asked that question all the time, I'm sure, since that came out. But I think that we have to look overall. If they're not flossing, they have to be doing something else then. They have to be doing interdental cleaners, or they have to do a water pick, or they have to be doing something else. But somehow they need to get rid of the biofilm in their mouths on a daily basis. And we have to do some education with our patients on that. And I think the saliva test, there's a new it's kind of a campaign called Connected Oral Health. And Dr. Tony Hashman out of A.T. Stills University in Arizona is heading it up. And I'm helping him promote his program of pH to OH. And it's connecting the young people on their smartphones where they can test their pH level and take it, note it, chart it onto their phones. Oral-B has an Oral-B app for that, also monitoring and charting and identifying where any plaque or oral biofilm is in the mouth. All things are kind of leading to using your smartphone, all the different technology out there. And I think the young people like that. If they can see it on their smartphone and they can do it easily with what we call an oral health app, getting them into a little bit of that, monitoring their own health. They all use Fitbits and all those kind of different devices. It's no different than checking your saliva. So if you can get them excited about monitoring their health themselves, and then they see it charted, they see it on their graphs on their phone, and then they're more likely to take your recommendations.
Yeah, Tony Hashman, he's a buddy of mine because I'm in Phoenix and he's in the dental school right here in Mesa, Associate Dean for Global Oral Health at A.T. Still. It is such a changing world. Another common question. I notice you keep saying biofilm. Am I just showing that I'm a grandpa twice when I still say plaque? I mean, is plaque the wrong word? Should we start all saying biofilm instead of plaque?
Yes, biofilm is now the new word. It is dental plaque in the mouth, but we were pretty guilty of just treating our patients from the neck up as the physicians were treating people from the neck down. And now everybody's going to be together with this connected oral health and just general health movement, and it's all going to be biofilm. So now we're going on just biofilm as the terminology because it does go through your whole body, not just your mouth.
I always called it tartar because I got a D in calculus, so I just couldn't, I couldn't say calculus because it reminded me of flunking those tests. So plaque's out because plaque was biofilm on the teeth, but there's actually biofilm all throughout the body.
That's right. So now the new term is just biofilm because we're doing total body health now, not just looking at the mouth. We're trying to get the patients so that they're overall healthy. And we have to, so the hygienists, this is kind of a paradigm shift for them. They have to think about how are they going to remove the biofilm in the mouth and the calculus in the mouth, where before they were just primarily worried about getting that tartar off the teeth. But now, which we found it's more important to get rid of the biofilm than anything else. And they have different tools for that, like the subgingival air polisher. The Air and Go Easy by Acteon is an excellent one. That is the one that will treat mucositis, which is gingivitis for implants as well. So they can use it for natural teeth, getting rid of the biofilm on every patient, and then use it on implants to get rid of the mucositis or biofilm around implants. So that's a new tool, kind of a new shift in hygiene that they should get aboard with and do in their office.
My God, that book, Beating the Heart Attack Gene, if you talk to 3 dentists, one's already read it. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's excellent. I think they have preceptorships that hygienists can take as well. They can go into a course and do a preceptorship all on inflammation. And I know that's where we're headed. We're basically headed for inflammation elimination as much as possible in the mouth. That means checking the tissues, checking the bone levels, making sure that the patient understands some really good ways to get rid of the biofilm in the mouth, like your, Oral-B power toothbrush, use daily, all that kind of thing. Anything like that you can get rid of the biofilm on a daily basis, we're going to try to emphasize with patients. And then we have to do that as well at our appointments.
So you just said Oral-B. It just seems totally intuitive that a power saw can cut through wood more than a manual saw. Do you think an electric toothbrush like an Oral-B is a power saw as opposed to, or a table saw as opposed to, a manual saw? I mean, do you think when we're trying to get these people to remove the biofilm that an easy, obvious answer is to switch from manual to electric? Or do you think electric is, or manual and electric are pretty much even?
Well, they had some research out that they were even for years. And now with the new evidence for biofilm and sticky biofilm and getting total elimination of inflammation in the mouth, we're now what I would say in the power tool era, where all the power, the better. The water pick, the electric toothbrush, and Oral-B has the most scientific research on theirs and the most tips. They have Dr. Masad did a really good job of helping him design some tips for implants. So they have the implant tips and regular tips for the mouth, to use with power toothbrush. So anytime we can get them on a power toothbrush, they now recommend that. We had a scientific panel, Howard, that met in 2015. We published in 2016 the American College of Prosthodontic Guidelines, and they were for healthy teeth, but they were for implant, born restorations and tooth-borne restorations. So basically everybody, somebody that has any kind of restoration they have in their mouth, but not disease. This is just for, healthy mouths. And the recommendations were all power tools now for the recommended tools to recommend to patients for anyone with a restoration in their mouth. So it's definitely gone in that way now.
What's your favorite electric toothbrush?
The Oral-B. I like the new 5000 or the Genius because it actually shows the patient on their phone where they've missed. And that, usually, where they missed or the D plaque or whatever. We've talked about that for years. But now we understand that we don't want to leave any biofilm behind on a daily basis. So how are we going to do that? We're not going to use disclosing things at home and all that, but we can certainly use our phones and it connected up to the toothbrush, and the toothbrush shows you exactly where you've missed. So it's like plaque detection via your smartphone, and it'll say, okay, you missed it here. You go, you do it. It says 100. Yay. You've got them all. So now you've done at least that elimination at least once a day that way with your phone, and know that you've eliminated all the biofilm.
Well, yeah, that Oral-B Genius. So you like that? It's gone to the round spinning head. Sometimes remember when Interplaque came out? It was actually it was the same size bristle shape as a toothbrush. The more rectangular. But you like the round.
Yeah, well, they've done a lot of research on that. In fact, I think if I remember what I was using for my statistics on different articles, it's about 32% better, Howard, than the other shape or form of using a power toothbrush. And if you get them combination of that with doing the Bass technique, having hitting every two teeth with the round rotary brush, you show the patient how to do that. That's ideal. And they've got programs for that. They've got these test drive things now for Oral-B where they give them a toothbrush in their office with the sleeves, with everything they need. They'll supply that whole office. They just have to request it. And people can test drive these things in their mouths, right, at the appointment and see how much better they do.
So
And that's pretty neat.
So have you met a lot of these people on the Oral-B team?
Yes.
The Oral-B Genius?
Yes, yes.
And is the you connecting it up to your smartphone? Is that starting to take off? Are they getting any market penetration, or how's that rolling out?
Yes, I think it's going well. They actually came out with the 5,000 and the 7,000 internationally. Was the 7,000, and here it was the 5,000, and both of those took off just like lightning fire. And now the new Genius is even one step up from that, even better. But if they can get any of those power toothbrushes and then use the Oral-B app with them, they'll be in better shape. And it's nice that you can use any Oral-B you have, even if you have an older Oral-B, you can get the new tips for that. So that's a kind of a nice thing to tell a patient too.
A lot of the dentists and hygienists, they see a lot of advertisements for things they can put locally in the pocket when people have pockets. I mean, there's all kinds of minocycline. There's all. Are you fans of any of those local chips or impregnated floss or anything to deliver something locally?
Well, the new guidelines, Howard, are pretty clear. At 5 millimeter bleeding pocket that you do an SRP on and you treat it, you can use those products. But you only get 1.3 to 1.8 millimeters attachment regenerated with that. You don't get any bone. You only get, long epithelial attachment with that. So it's not regeneration by any means. It will help a 5 millimeter pocket, but anything deeper than that, no, I'm not a fan, because then you need bone. You need something in there that's going to regenerate bone.
And what is that?
You're going to need Emdogain, like an Emdogain is out there right now, very popular to use to regenerate bone and tissue for periodontal disease. Emdogain by Straumann.
Tell us about it. Emdogain by Straumann. Straumann is the dental implant system out of South Korea, Dr. Parks.
Yes, and it's,
how
it's
do you spell it? Amogain?
Emdogain, yeah.
Endogain?
Emdogain.
Spell it.
Yeah. I think it's EMODINE.
EMODINE from Straumann.
Yes. That's one of the most popular ones right now, Howard. There's several new ones coming soon. But for right now, that's the leading one, in my opinion. And they have to regenerate the periodontal ligament and get new bone and new cementum in order to really hold those pockets for people that have a 6 millimeter or deeper pocket.
And how long have you been watching this Endomain Straumann bone regeneration?
How long has that been going on?
Yeah, how long have you been watching that?
Oh, that's been years, Howard. That's been out for at least 4 or 5 years now. And so that's been one of the leading ones for quite a long time. Mostly done in dentist's hands at the moment. We can't do it as hygienists. Some hygienists are able to use it in specific states, but most of the time it's in the hands of the dentist or the specialist.
Yeah, that would. Yeah. Oh, okay. Very good. We should do an article on that on Dentaltown. We probably haven't done that for a long time. What do you think?
Yeah, and I've done several columns on that. Manage, repair, regenerate. I just did an article on that and was republished again recently. And so it's something that I truly believe in. We need to be providing our patients with the best that we can, and anything deeper than a 6 really needs guided bone regeneration. So we really need to start thinking about that and having a specialist or somebody in our area that we can refer to do that, or the dentists themselves can take a course on how to do that and do it in their office.
So what else are you passionate about?
Well, I don't know. My big passion is teaching. I like to teach the students. I like teaching. I've done a lot of international teaching for students, and I'd like to do more here. I've done work with a lot of master students on their projects. I like working at O'Hare University for hygienists to be able to get their bachelor's degrees online. That's been kind of my passion lately, is working on that and working on regenerative projects.
And what is Tricia O'Hare's what is the website? apostrophe
It's
HEI.
Yeah, her name, her last name.
Yeah, it's hard to spell though. O'Hare.
Yeah,
online.
OHIERER. Yeah, O'Hare University.
Well, tell my homies about O'Hare University.
Well, it's an online program that hygienists can take to get their bachelor in science degrees if they haven't had it already. And so it's something that's just a really nice way for them while they're working as a hygienist. If they always wanted their Bachelor of Science, didn't get it at the time that they went through their program. I don't care how old they are. It's all ages. It's international students and United States students. So it's kind of fun. When they go on to these classes, they'll have international hygienists in their class as well doing this. And they do clinical projects like that they can do right within their office on things that they've always wanted to know the difference of. And it's just a really neat program for oral health promotion. So it's a nice university at a cost-effective point for a lot of hygienists to get their Bachelor of Science degrees.
So I know my homies are driving. Podcasters are commuting to work. They got about an hour commute. So I try to give them notes so they can find it. So O'Hare University, Tricia O'Hare.
That's
O'Hare
right.
is spelled O'Heir. Her Twitter is at OHEHIR UNI for university. So I just retweeted. It says, OHU grads, you can offer a $250 discount on OHU tuition to your RDH friends and they'll. I'll retweet that. And then our next tweet was, vote for our suggestions for future research. I'll retweet that. What is your Twitter?
Oh, and it's I believe it's I think it's sswin.
Yours is sswin?
I think so. Yes, I don't have it memorized.
sswin?
Yeah, I think so. It has a little typewriter that pops up with my name and a little typewriter shot.
I'm not getting it.
I'll have to look for
Susan. It's at Susan. It's at Susan Wingrove.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah, there it is. So I'm retweeting you. Your last tweet was 4 days ago. Great way to start off Memorial Day weekend at Low Peak Brewery. Do you want me to retweet that one? Or Elton John in Missoula headed to the concert. Is that your husband?
No, that was just going to the concert here in Missoula. So, no, I'm a widow, Howard. I lost my husband in 2008, but he was a periodontist for the university. He taught at the University of Iowa, and we did regeneration research together. So,
and
he's the one that designed.
How long did he pass?
2008. So 2008? we designed the instruments together. You know, the Wingrove implant instruments together. So the set PDT.
How long were you married?
We were married to 7 years.
You're married 7 years?
Yeah.
And that was almost 9 years ago.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I know.
Was that how long did it take you to recoup from that? I mean, how long is the pain just like knock the wind out before you start getting back to your feet?
Well, for me, it took quite a while. I would have to say a good 3 to 5 years. And I finally just had to up and move. I drove the 24-foot truck out to Montana to hike and fly fish and do whatever I wanted to do passion-wise and write a textbook and things and not really worry about money too much. Just do what I was passionate about because you really can't take it with you. And you learn this when you lose someone like that and you think, you know what? I'm just going to do what I'm passionate about. And that right now is teaching hygienists to advance in our profession and writing. So that's what I do.
I wish you would create an online course for us, because on Dentaltown, we noticed that they're watching those countries, these courses around the world, and so many of those countries don't have a hygiene department yet. I mean, there's 220 countries. I know Trish O'Hare was instrumental in bringing hygiene school to Australia as recently as just 20 years ago. How many countries do you think there's not even such thing as a licensed registered dental hygienist?
I don't know. I think I've been to like 15 or 20 different countries now teaching, and I would say only half of them had hygiene programs. I taught the dentists about regeneration, what we're talking about today, regeneration, implant maintenance, because I found it's just as important to talk to the dentists about the implant maintenance. And like France, for instance, they don't have hygienists, but they're very passionate about doing the maintenance themselves. So you have to do work with the dentist then. But somebody's got to be doing it, and we're trying to build a hygiene program like England's in France if we can get it started. And Ireland has come up. Ireland's really doing well. Great hygiene program in Ireland. And I work with the Italians out of the Tuscany Institute every year. And the Italian is just fantastic. And their students do clinical projects and government-funded projects and things for oral health, like home care, that we can't necessarily get funded here. They do there, which is wonderful. So it's just really been interesting to do both, work internationally and work here.
So why do you think the Italians and the Brits and the Irish have hygienists and someone like France does not?
No idea, because that's where satellite started.
They invented the French fry. Those people are smart.
I know. I hope that they'll change their mind and they'll get some hygienists soon. But they have some great technology comes out of there. We've got the Acteon company comes out of there. And I think more and more now with this technology going, for the subgingival air polishers and piezos and all the different things, maybe they'll start to get on board with that and get some hygienists too as well.
And you said the Acteon company. And what product of theirs do you like?
I like their piezo implant protect tips. They have the only piezo tips that are safe right now to use around implants. So I really like the implant protect tips. And I like their Air and Go Easy subgingival air polisher that they have. They've got a new one, Howard, that the dentist should look into. They've got a new 3D machine they just came out with a great price point, kind of a growing unit, one where you can get the digital Panorex and then grow into the 3D scan. So a lot of really neat technology coming out of there.
And how do you spell it? A-C-T-I-O-N?
A-C-E-T-I-O-N?
A-C-E-T-I-O-N?
Yes. Yep, that's it. Acteon, yeah. They've got some really excellent research.
I'm just like A-C-T...
E-O-N.
E-O-N. A-C-T-E-O-N. Dental.
Yeah, and they've got a U.S. group here that's quite strong, and you can get a piezo to go right on your ADEC chair even, and things like that. But
is it Acteon? Is it the web Acteon Group? That's where I'm going wrong. It's Acteon Group.
Acteon Group.
Okay. Yeah. And so they're out of France. Yep, they are.
Mm-hmm. So that company's got great technology coming out that people should look into. And I think it's going to be a great one, this 3D for general dental offices to grow with, because it'll grow. You can just add on without adding whole different units. They can add on to their add 3D when they can and things. So it's going to be really neat to see that come full circle for everybody.
I want to ask you. There's a lot of controversy in transmission of disease. Obviously, below the belt, everybody on the planet agrees you can pass syphilis, gonorrhea, all that stuff. But it seems like you still see dentists who don't believe it in the mouth. I mean, you'll go in their office. They've treated mom every 3 months for 10 years, and no one's even seen dad. And then when you do see dad, he's got three teeth rotted off to the gum line. He's got partial impact. I mean, he's a garbage mouth. And the dentist will say, well, it's not transmissible when they kiss every night or share spoons. How come below the belt bugs can transmit, but above the belt they don't? What do you think about the transmissionability of these diseases?
No, they can do that. They can so transmit to their, you definitely got to treat the spouts. You definitely got to watch it. And if you're real affectionate with your dog, you can transmit it back and forth between the animals. You know, biofilm moves. It moves, and it's in your saliva. It's in your spit. So yes, definitely. If you're sharing spit with somebody, that person also needs to have good oral health, or that you're not going to improve your oral health any.
I mean, every dentist listening to this show could increase their hygiene department 20% if you just instituted a family policy. We're not going to treat individuals in a family. We can't. I mean, I can't treat you for chlamydia every 3 months for 10 years until we get your husband in here. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And the other thing is stressful is the pregnant girls are hearing a lot of mixed messages. Number one, they hear that the baby's going to get streptococcus mutans, Feijin's vallis, canker sores, cold sores, herpes, all that if she's kissing her baby's mouth. I mean, are you really? Do we really need to tell pregnant moms that, hey, new thing, from now on when you have a baby, you never kiss it on the mouth? Is that where it's headed?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you can use, get your mouth in good condition. You can use antimicrobial mouth rinses for yourself that last for 8 hours. There's no reason why they can't be as affectionate to the babies as they want to be. But they got to be smart about it. They should be, taking care of the baby's mouth from the time that they're born, as well as taking care of their own mouth. So this is why the biofilm thing is so important, is that we have to start making that connection to our oral health and everybody around us.
What antimicrobial mouthwashes do you like?
Oh, there's several out there that are good. The closest mouth rinse by Ropar.
That's right up the street for me.
It's and it's a chlorine dioxide product, so it's a natural product. It doesn't stain, it lasts for 8 hours. It's an antifungus, microbial. It's got such good promise to it.
It was invented by the periodontist Perry Reed, wasn't it?
I can't remember who started it.
It was Perry Reed, and now he passed away, and now I think his son runs that. Or
Andy, yeah.
Is it Andy Reed with closest?
Yeah, and Jim Radcliffe is involved with
Jim
it as
Radcliffe.
Well.
It was Perry Radcliffe.
Yes.
Perry Radcliffe.
Now.
Yeah, I used to love that guy. That guy was my biggest role model periodontist, just because, talk about a character. I called him up one time and asked him a periodontal question. It was like in 1987. And he said, well, actually, I can't answer that on the phone in 5 minutes. We're going to have to go to dinner on that one. So I said, okay. We went to dinner. We ate. We drank till 1 o'clock in the morning. I think he explained to me every periodontal thought he had. I mean, he was so damn cool. And those are just the most amazing mentors when you're a 24. I was 24 in a graduate dental school, opened my own office. Here I am, some punk kid. And this guy at the time might have been 60 or 65. And he talked to me for probably 6 hours trying to.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and now he's gone, and his son Jim. So you like closest, which is called Ropar. And I think he was also, at the beginning, he was affiliated with Omar Reed with that, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was, but
I think Omar.
That product came into my realm when Frank and I were doing our research in '95 for the product that we're working on, and it was the one that doesn't interfere with healing but helps with healing. So it's the one that I would say for pre and post rinsing, pre and post that they use from now on. Move away from chlorhexidine. It won't do it. Chlorhexidine will not, prevent all the disease and periodontal disease or peri-implant disease. You need to move away from chlorhexidine and move into chlorine dioxide, in my opinion. That's, and it doesn't interfere with the osteoblasts and fibroblasts.
Am I too cynical when I'm sitting at, okay, I'm in Arizona. I mean, if you quit throwing chlorine and acid in your swimming pool, it'll turn into a green swamp. And you throw chlorine and acid in your swimming pool, and you can throw a penny in the deep end and see if it's heads up or tails up. That obviously, chlorine dioxide. I mean, what the hell? Nothing grows in your swimming pool if you keep throwing chlorine and acid in. I mean, that's got to be the gold standard, doesn't it?
Well, the chlorine dioxide is a natural product, a natural substance in itself. So when you recommend it to a patient, you can feel pretty comfortable about that. It doesn't have any side effects, and you don't have to look at their prescriptions or anything when you put them on it. It's great for chemotherapy patients, great for patients over 55. They have a new formula. I think it's called Silver. The Silver formula for over 55.
And that's the closest for Mopar?
Yeah, it just came out in March, Silver version for 55 and older.
I have something to look forward to because today is my I'm not kidding, today is my 20,000 day birthday. And you don't hit 30,000 days till you're 82. But my 55 is August 29th. So I get to go out tonight and have dinner to celebrate my 20,000 day birthday. And then August 29th, I'll celebrate my 55-year-old birthday with a bottle of closest Silver, because then I'll be old enough. Well, do I just drink it straight with a martini or?
Yeah, straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be my first drink. I'll take a closest Silver to celebrate my 55th birthday. So you like the chlorine dioxide?
I do, because it's a natural product, and you could use it lifelong in your water pick when you're working on your implants, for your implant patients. And it's just an overall all good product. It really is.
You know what I think the problem with the water pick is? Seriously, listen to patients for 30 years. They'll get a water pick, and then the wife will completely have a breakdown because when the husband uses it, there's water and stain and splashes everywhere. And then the kid will come in the bathroom to it. And I think the whole water pick, the whole water floss needs to go into the shower. Remember the shower floss? When you unscrewed the head of your shower and you put that in there? Because when you're water picking in the shower, you don't give a crap where anything's going because you're in the shower. But I think when families put the water pick in the bathroom and you got a 2-year-old playing with it and a 6-year-old and a husband and a mom, and at some point in time, she just unplugs it and puts it under the cabinet because it's just a mess. And I think they should go into the shower. And I think if you just move the water picks into the shower, and because when you go in the shower, I mean, you do everything in the same order. I mean, I always brush my teeth first. I always floss my teeth. Then I shave. Then I pee in the drain. And then I do the other stuff. I'm just kidding.
But they do have a portable model that goes in the shower now.
Oh, what's the portable model called?
It's just the water pick portable. It's a new one that they've launched.
Does it plug in and take electricity?
No.
So it hooks up to your shower head?
Nope, you just carry it in with you. It's got a water reservoir in it. You just fill up the water reservoir in it, and you carry it in. It's like a battery toothbrush kind of size.
Can you send me the website out?
Sure.
What's it called? Right.
It's the portable unit, the portable water pick unit. I don't know the exact unit.
Do you remember the shower floss?
Yes, and I think they had that still around for quite a while.
Will you find me the shower floss too?
Yeah, they have. I think you can still order it.
Because I think the best advice is when you can implement something in your household habit and the habit works, you know what I mean? So then it gets sticky. So then they're still doing it years later down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they the ADA seal for excellence because of biofilm removal. So
Who did?
Waterpik is really come on strong with this biofilm removal.
So that would be your first pick is Waterpik and the movable one to the shower.
Sure.
And
yeah, because around implants especially. The full fixed cases, Howard, the full fixed dental cases with implants, the best thing for them is to get them on a Waterpik because they can get that up and into those big full arch cases where sometimes they can't get anything else. And you've got to either use a Waterpik or floss to clean around an implant.
Oh, this is neat. I just got it now. The Waterpik Oral Health Cordless Plus Water Flosser.
Yep.
The Waterpik Cordless Plus Water Flosser is a great solution when you want the convenience of cordless water flossing. Rechargeable and portable. It's perfect for use in smaller bathrooms or for travel. I have not seen that.
Yes, it's great. It's great. I got one for each one of my sons for Christmas last year.
Well, so your favorite Waterpik was the new one, white Waterpik Cordless Plus Water Flosser from Waterpik. That is really cool. And then I had not seen that. That's really cool. But what did you think of the shower floss?
I've never used the shower one, Howard, but I travel with the little Traveler portable. I never leave home without it. And I have a regular Aquarius at home. So I use that to get rid of all the biofilm in my mouth as well as the power toothbrush. So I'm kind of a stickler about both. But so I do have it in my bathroom. But
now you said you got your boys that for Christmas last year.
Yes, because they wanted something.
The only thing you got him is that what happens when your mom's a hygienist? The only thing you get for was it a stuffing stalker over the chimney, or was that the big gift?
No, that was not the big gift. That was just here. You need this gift. So.
And you also mentioned that you're working with O'Hare University. And that's an online. Talk about that. This is Dentistry Uncensored. So, how much does it cost? How long does it take? How does O'Hare University work?
It takes about 6 to 7.
I applied to O'Hare University, and they said my GPA was too low, and I was not accepted to the program. But
it's good. It's about 7-month program, and I just mentor for it. I don't actually. Trisha and Tim Ives do the teaching. I mentor in occasionally with them on classes, but I strongly believe in the program because I like their approach. I like the clinical action projects that the students do, and they do it in about 7 months, and they can do it even as a busy hygienist with a bunch of kids can do this, and they can get their Bachelor of Science. And I think that just gives them a really good feeling. And in some cases, they just always wanted their bachelor's. They don't really need it, but they always wanted it. Well, great. And then they can do it with international students as well in their classes, which kind of just an overall relationship building with hygienists internationally, just like our, other international friends. So I think the whole thing is just a really good program.
But Trisha lives here in Phoenix, but the other guy is Tim Ives, RDH, BSc, Masters, but he's from the UK, and I'm pretty sure they don't have teeth over there. So how did that work?
No, they have excellent hygiene program and physical and a hygiene therapist program there. So they're doing really well in England now.
How come on South Park, whenever there's a guy with really bad teeth, he's the guy from the United Kingdom?
I think it was in the past. In the future now, they're doing much, much better there.
Yeah, I'll never forget the true story. I can't make this up, and I don't mean to offend any of my good friends in the United Kingdom. It was the first time they invited me to speak to their Royal, what do they call it? The Royal College of Dentists, or it was some very...
In London, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a really prestigious gig, and I was in this really nice hotel, and I was there the night before, and I was sitting out there walking around, and this Jaguar pulls up, this green Jaguar, and it's just gorgeous, and it pulls right up, and this girl gets out to valet park the car, and she's wearing an evening gown that matches her Jag, and I'm just like, wow, a hot Jag, a hot woman, a hot dress. I'm just like, wow, I'm in London. She walks around, she comes up, and right when she walks by me, I smiled at her, and she smiled, and I could see missing teeth.
Right.
And that was
That's
like
not
25, and that was
anymore.
like 25 years ago. And it just, at that time, they just didn't see it. I mean, she saw her jag, she saw her dress, she didn't see the missing teeth. And it's funny when you go to countries, because other countries you go to, like, you'll have the same experience with like a woman dentist, and you're talking to her, and everything's great. And then she'll reach up and scratch her head, and she's got like a mop of hair under her arm. I mean, a lot of it's culture. I mean, some cultures don't shave their legs, some don't shave their underarms. But yeah, 25. When I first went to London, there was a lot more people who weren't into replacing missing teeth, even if
Yeah,
they
they've
were.
changed. That's definitely changed.
Yeah,
They're very,
and that was true of the
very
dentist in the audience 25 years ago too.
no, that's very much changed, and it's a, as you know, one world now, and we're all working together. And I think especially with a lot of these different connected apps and things, everybody on their technology, it's going to get to be more and more where we're going to share with all these countries and be able to do webinars with each other. And your program goes to all these countries, so it just shows that everyone's listening to and weren't learning and doing the things for oral health.
What makes me the most high, what just makes me just get giddy, is when I go to Soweto in South Africa, and I go to Tanzania, Ethiopia, Somalia, Indonesia, Cambodia, and so many of those dentists say, I took your online C course on Dentaltown, and it would be 3 months' wages for me to buy an airplane ticket to the United States and see that course. And we make those online courses free in poor countries. And for them to be
That's
sitting there in Ethiopia listening to some of the greatest endodontists that ever lived, and periodontists, and all these amazing people. And I'll never forget the girl that she made me cry. She was it was God, I can't remember if it was Tanzania or Somalia. Anyway, she was Muslim, and she had her garb on, and she had two assistants, and all I could see was her eyes. And she told me that her whole village saved up and sent her to dental school. And she came back, and she was so excited, and she practiced for the dentistry, and she'd practiced for years. She thought she was the best dentist in the world because she went to the best dental school. And I forgot the name of that port city in Somalia. And then she discovered Dentaltown. Then she found out the online CE was free because she's in a poor country. And she started taking all these online courses, realizing what they didn't teach her in school. Then she got mad that her school had taught her this other stuff or whatever. And then I told her that, everything I learned in school is extinct by now. I mean, everything
yeah.
only, the shelf life of anything that's really true in dentistry is only 5 years maybe? Kind of like,
Yes,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's my point with the students. They've got to keep learning. They've got to go to the CE programs. They've got to search out, the people that are in our different professional areas and listen and keep up to date and read. And, don't take just what they learned at school and decide that they're going to practice forever, just like what they learned in school. That is
so how much
happen.
So the O'Hare University is to get a BS, a Bachelor in
Yes.
Science?
Yes.
Do they have an MS too?
They were thinking of putting them in. I don't know if they've started it yet.
But it's
I know.
How much is that? How much does that program cost? You say it's about 7 months. How long? How much money does it cost?
I think it's under 3,000, Howard, which is very affordable for most people.
Under 3,000, and if you put on the promo code Susan Wingrove RDH BS, it's half off. Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I heard it. I heard it on my own show, so it must be true.
Yeah.
But hey, anytime you want to make us an online CE course, write an article. I mean, our magazine, Dentaltown, the website. It'd always be an honor to have anything from you. And I just want to tell you that was the fastest hour I've ever done. I think you're amazing. I've been a big fan of yours for decades. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and teaching me new things and talking to all my homies today.
We're welcome, Howard. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thanks for doing it.